Hey, I'm here with Gus from the Surfisticats in the UK. How are you, Gus?
I'm very well. Really nice to meet you, Ryan.
Very nice to meet you too. I want to thank you so much for reaching out back to us so soon. It's always great to have somebody in the UK on the show.
Yeah. Which part of the US are you?
East Coast,
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Ah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a friend, well, a friend back from MySpace days who lives in Philadelphia, a chap called Hugh Hamilton. Great musician.
Oh my God, MySpace. I had a MySpace page.
Oh, that's how old I am.
That was the best.
Yeah, MySpace was great.
Yeah. And they still have it actually.
Oh, real. It's been so sidelined, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, start from the bottom up. I saw you had two releases on Bandcamp. I'll have the links in the description where the listeners and watchers can go pick that up. But tell me from the bottom up how you started the Surfisticats.
Right. Well, it's how far back do you go with these things? Basically, I have relocated from London to Bedfordshire. I'm about 80 miles north of London and was just reaching out on local websites, local music groups, just to see what was out there, who was interested. I've always had a hankering to play in a proper surf band, classic four piece, two guitars, bass and drum. Um, and I put an ad on a site called Join My Band. And Join My Band is quite well known in the UK and it is split into areas. And I got one reply from a gentleman called Xavi. Xavi's a Spanish guy. And we got together and we bounced some ideas about. And he was more of a rockabilly, rock and roll sort of fella. And he wanted to combine doing some surf stuff with doing some sort of rockabilly vocal stuff. And we muddled along with that for a few months. And then we put an advert out for anybody else who might be interested, surf rock and roll. And by that time, I had come up with a name. And we had a reply from Sean, who's our drummer. And Sean turned up and just easily one of the best drummers I've ever worked with. And I've worked with some really good drummers in my life, but this guy's world class. He's also a multi instrumentalist. He plays lots of instruments. Anyway, Sean was more keen to just do a straight ahead classic surf band, and I pretty much took Xavi to one side and said, "Look, let's keep this guy happy. Any band is only as good as the drummer." And yeah. So it was just a matter of common sense. And we progressed down an instrumental classic surf sound, uh, lots of classic cover versions, all the stuff you'd expect to hear when you go to a surf gig. But we also write. Now, what happened was after about maybe a year or so, once we started gigging, Xavi decided to move back to Spain. He's Spanish. So we had to find either a replacement or what actually happened was I was playing bass originally. I moved up to playing guitar and I got in a good friend of mine, a chap I've known and worked with for years, Steve. And that's what we have as the current lineup. In the meanwhile, Xavi had brought in a friend of his, David, who I mentioned to you before we started recording, who is a fantastic world class guitar player. He's a really, really clever guy. He's a great composer, and he's also good on the technical side of things. He builds effects pedals, so he's really good with stuff. When my guitar broke, he fixed it for me. When I needed some pickups replacing, he did that for me and stuff. So it's all come together very nicely. I think the main thing for me about the band is not only are they incredibly good musicians, as good as I've ever worked with. They're really nice fellas, really nice. It's the whole object of the band is just to have a bit of fun and do the music we love. We're Nobody's going to get rich playing surf music, you know.
Or any band is rather.
Well, yeah, not in this day and age, you know. It's just it's about the fun aspect.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess like in this day and age, like you said, it's more authentic that way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to know more about the pedal business. You told me that your friend he,
Yeah, David designs and builds effects pedals. He's got a company called Great Eastern Effects. He builds them in his workshop in Cambridge in the UK. Uh, he Most of his pedals so far have been drives. He's got one that's a small speaker emulator, one it's called the designer drive, which you can pretty much fine tune it. Um, I can't remember what yeah, Focus Fuzz. That's his other signature pedal, and again, a very customizable, very tunable fuzz pedal. And he has recently released the most technical, unbelievable, weird thing. It's a pedal called an XO, which is a crossover, which means you can split the frequencies to separate outputs and blend them, and have one frequency of your instrument going to one set of effects and the top frequency going to another, etc.
wow.
I can't quite get my head around how the thing works, but if you check out David's website, Great Eastern Effects, he's got loads of videos and explanations about it. And I personally, I haven't really heard of an effects pedal like this before, and I think this is going to be the one that makes him.
So would you say it's got like multi versatile like drive versus reverb flange phase?
Yeah, I don't know if he's building reverbs and stuff like that yet. It seems to be mostly drives, and I say that this crossover pedal, but the crossover pedal, that's a really unusual one. It's generating a lot of interest for him.
Awesome, awesome. Tell me about that beautiful guitar behind you.
Oh, this is my parts caster, or my parts master, I should say. Um, I've I've spent my whole life playing Telecasters. The first guitar I ever wanted was a Tele. I've played them my whole life. Never had any interest in Jazzmasters. And one day I was in Denmark Street in London, which is a famous street with all the guitar shops, and they had a blue flower Jazzmaster, and it was like, oh, I want that. Can't afford it though. They're a limited edition Japanese build, and they cost about nearly £2,000
Wow.
British currency. This, however, the body comes from a chap who works in the UK called HZ Guitars, and I bought the body from him, and then I bought a Squire Classic Vibe and robbed all of it, everything that was on there, sold the body on eBay, and transplanted the Squire onto that body. And yeah, that's my baby.
What do you use for reverb?
What do I use for reverb? I use what is it? So I've got the board here. It is. Uh, can you see it? Yeah, Digiverb. Digiverb. That's what I
Okay,
use.
all
Yeah.
right.
I also, I mean, I kick that one in and out. I also have a sort of like just a background level reverb coming from my amp, which is a Fender Deluxe 90.
Okay.
With a single 1x12. Probably not a very traditional surf amp, but it works great for me.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, any Fender amp is top
There
tier.
you go. There you go.
So, you have the Bandcamp page. you had some releases in 2023 and I
Yeah.
believe early 2024. That
Well, what happened was we released our first EP in 23, and then we were asked by a little independent record company stroke podcast to contribute to a Christmas album. So we recorded a Christmas song, and that kind of arced over between 23 and 24.
okay. And that's a great tune. I heard it. I heard it.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it's very good. The playing on all the songs is like you said. It all starts with the drummer, which had that little um not little, like really huge punk rock kind of drum fill with
Yeah.
traditional surf playing behind it, and man, like it kind of makes the hair on your arms stand up.
Excellent. That's really gratifying to hear.
So, what's next for you? Like this interview will air in January.
Okay.
So I want to know what your plans are. I guess most like the touring and playing season is coming to a close. What
Pretty much, yeah.
what are your plans for the new year and forward?
Our immediate plans. Ne- Less than a month from today, we've got probably the most prestigious gig of our career so far. We're opening for the Surfisticats
Oh
in
wow,
Norwich on the UK tour. So
that's
yeah,
good news.
we're looking forward to that. That's going to be great.
That's gonna garner a lot of attention.
Yes, I mean those ladies that you so much credit. They have really upped the interest in instrumental music so much.
Yeah, and they had um I think it was before their first release. They had two videos on I want to say it was on YouTube. Yeah, they had the Toxic by Britney Spears cover,
Yeah,
and and then they had Heart of Glass by Blondie cover, and I was like, okay, these guys, the girls aren't messing around,
they can really play.
and then before you know it, they put out that full length on High Tide, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
there's it wasn't just it wasn't a gimmick, it was a
Absolutely not. I mean, what is amazing about those folks is it's a full package. It's from the ground up. It's just so well presented. The concept, the feel, the record, and as I say, the excellent musicians of all four of them.
yeah, super excellent. I was lucky because that record went fast.
Yeah,
I was lucky to get a vinyl version of it.
I'm hoping I might grab a copy on vinyl of the new one when they're over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully they'll do a merch stand and fingers crossed get it signed.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
I finally, I'm sure that this happens a lot because they tour constantly. But the Messerships, they came to United States. They come here a lot.
yeah,
But I got to see them in this town called Westchester, which is kind of like a college town.
I know of it.
Yeah, but it was like in the oddest place, and it, you know, my wife and I are big fans, but never got to see them live.
Mm,
And I gotta tell you, it was just the three of them on a stage, but the sound was just
yeah.
it was it was incredible. That have you gotten a chance to see them in the UK?
They had played the UK quite a lot, and I had a friend of mine who played in a band called the Bikini Bottoms, and they're up in Scotland, and they actually managed to open for them. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the gig, but no, they're great. They are top notch.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Before we sign off, I just want to give you a chance to maybe say something or mention something I haven't asked about, or ask me a question.
Oh, well, you've caught me on the hop, Ryan. I wasn't ready for that. I mean, all I can say with regards to what's happening with the band in the future is once we get, I mean, it seems to be everything's building up to this gig opening for the Jets. After that, we've tried to get a bit more professional photo shoot organized.
Okay.
We've been contacted about doing an interview for Vintage Rock magazine, which is a pretty cool
Oh,
magazine in the UK.
excellent.
But we need to have a decent photograph of them first.
Okay.
Um, we've also getting back to the Jets gig because of the kind of gig it is. We're going to do a set of entirely originals,
Oh,
and
awesome.
there's just quite a few new tunes that we've written, and it is really becoming time that we committed this to some kind of physical media.
Awesome.
Probably a CD. Vinyl would be lovely, but I don't know if we can afford to print vinyl up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pricey.
So
So
you,
yeah, get an album recorded, and then hopefully with being able to promote via your channel and with our interview in Vintage Rock and a little bit of profile from opening for the Surfisticats, hopefully we'll get some kind of agents involved that we can up the bookings, because we're not very good at grabbing gigs for ourselves. The guys do go flat out to try and book gigs, but I heard you interview the Silhouettes, and those guys gig a lot, but they work flat out to get it, because getting most venues in this country to book a surf band is like a real uphill struggle.
yeah, yeah. Plus, I mean, you're writing, you're performing, you're practicing,
Yeah,
and you have other, you have family obligations,
of course.
um, possibly a job.
Yeah, I do have a job here.
Like you need some help coming from somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully an agency. We'd like to play festivals. There's lots of retro festivals and car shows and stuff in this country that we go down and storm at. And the thing is, the gigs we have done where we've played in just bars, when people catch on to what's happening,
Yeah,
they look at you at first and they go, "Well, when are they going to start singing?" And then they kind of tune into it. As I say, we try to sort of like
yeah,
dress appropriately. We've
yeah,
got a surfboard with a logo on it that we hang up at the back of the stage. I've made like a little back projection with just clips from old surf movies and monster
yeah.
movies and stuff like that, just to try and make it a bit more of an atmosphere than just four guys standing there playing.
Right.
Bit of a show.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gus, for coming on the show. And if there's any way I can help spread the word, uh, posting a flyer on my socials, let me know, or just send it in Instagram, and I'll save it to my phone and then post it on our socials.
Brilliant. Well, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you, Ryan. Thank you so much for getting in touch with us.
Absolutely.